Well, first off, I'd like to thank everybody for being here. We have a lot of people from pretty far away, and it's really nice to see so many, especially Aaron's family for making it so far. It's really great to have you here. It's an exciting day for those of us who've known Ben for a long time. We've always watched him with interest. We've been curious to see where he was going, and I don't think any of us really thought that Texas was where he was going. But there he is, and he's doing so well there. He's always been a remarkable guy, and the Cape folk amongst us remember, Ben on the tennis courts. Talk about astrophysics with Dominic, our tennis counselor, for hours on end, and who he's actually still in touch with all these years later. And he always, had a creative imagination. I mean, anybody who ever played with sandcastles with Ben knows that you were in his little world and you did things the way things were done in his little world. Otherwise, you were cast aside quite later. We used to play Legos all the time, and I remember my little Lego character, my main Lego character, frequently had his gun taken away from him or was arrested for... Ben didn't really prove his vigilante justice. Ben clearly has always had a strong sense of right and wrong and justice, which has served him well. And Ben always wore his nerdiness on his sleeve. He was not afraid of being who he was, and I think we've all been very impressed by that over the years. I remember when I was in 7th grade, I was at a new school, and I had a birthday party, and all my friends came, all my fairly new friends who were trying hard to impress. And Ben comes downstairs, wearing Star Trek pin as always, said, "Hi, I'm Ben, I'm the nerd in the family." And naturally, I was mortified, but it was Ben. I mean, he was not afraid of being who he was, and I think a lot of us have taken that away of, no matter who you are, what you are, enjoy who you are and be proud of it. And that's Ben right there. I think college was when Ben really came into his own in a lot of ways, and Columbia was he was in a bigger pond. And he still thrived, and really found his niche at the Daily Spectator, was really fearless in the way he chased stories. And I mean, there's a classic photo of Ben running up alongside Al Gore with a microphone in front of him, trying to get a statement. He really was a tough guy in his own way. Somehow he still managed to do really well in school, even though he was working about 40 hours a week at the school paper. Most of us, didn't go to class because we were lazy. He didn't go to class because he was actually essentially working a full-time job without getting paid. But him and Adam, that's kind of what they did. We all knew Ben would go into journalism. I mean, that was kind of a given. And so when he ended up at the Wall Street Journal, obviously it was a huge break, and he was doing celebrity journalism, or basically celebrity real estate, which was probably not his calling, but he did well at it. And I think when Donald Trump threatened to sue his ass, he kind of knew that it was time to move on at the Wall Street Journal. Maybe if there's just going to be litigation, it should be for something a little more substantial than Donald Trump's new his golf course. He basically had two options, and it was to go to Washington D.C., which was kind of a safe choice for Ben. I mean, Ben obviously has been a political animal for his whole life. Really his whole life. So D.C. would have been quite natural, and he took the much gutsier move and moved to Dallas. Because he thought, change of scene, totally different, and that oil would be an interesting thing to cover. And obviously that was a good decision from many respects. I mean, on a professional level, tragedies can sometimes help your career. The Deepwater Horizon spill as tragic as it was, it really helped make Ben's career, and he was nominated for the Pulitzer Prize. So, from a professional level, obviously, Dallas was a good choice, but more importantly, from a personal level, Dallas was the right choice, and it brought him within one city of Aaron, who was living in Fort Worth, and they're twin cities, so it works. But and so clearly it was the right decision. So I hadn't met Aaron until this summer, basically, or well, I guess last summer. I live up in Vermont, and Ben lives in Dallas, so I hadn't made the trip, and he hadn't made the trip. I've actually lived in Vermont longer than you've lived in Dallas. But well, it's true. It is cool. And Ben would always say I should come down and visit, and we would talk about it. And then Ben and I are not great at follow through and stuff like that, and we never did. And that last spring, he started to really press the issue, and I started to realize that the real reason was that I need to go down and meet Aaron. And so we finally actually got our acts together, and I booked a plane ticket and went down and spent the weekend in June, and had a really great weekend. Just hanging out. It was ungodly hot and muggy, which I told Texas someplace like that. And so we just kind of hung out a lot. And it was really nice to get to know Aaron. And when Ben dropped me off at the airport, and we went to breakfast first, him and I, and he asked me, "What do you think of Aaron?" And I basically told him to go for it. Because I knew the reason I was there. I had to meet her before he went forward. And then the Deepwater Horizon spill happened, and nothing went forward. And a few months later, I got a voicemail when I was at work from Ben saying, "Pete, when you get a chance, give me a call," which isn't a voicemail I get from Ben very often. So I didn't really need to call to know why I needed to call him. And so sure enough, he was engaged. And so that was it. And I've gotten to know Erin a little better since then. She came here for our friend Katie's beautiful wedding last fall, and then came for Thanksgiving again. Actually, Greg as well. And came for Thanksgiving. He was here too. And then she came for Thanksgiving as well. And it was, the more I've gotten to know Erin, the more I've just loved having her around. She's not afraid of me intellectually, which is impressive. I mean, not to toot his horn, but a lot of people don't challenge Ben, and Erin does, and that is really great. I mean, she's able to remind him that he's not always right, but she does it in a way she so clearly adores him, and at the same time isn't overly impressed by him. It's just a really fine balance that he strikes that is important. Be supportive without being, without just going along with everything. I think that's what makes this really work. And so I'm just so happy that you're here and you're together, and I'll continue to get to know you better and better for as long as I'm around. So, so welcome and thank you, and everybody have a great time, and thank you for coming.
Cheers.